Ah, the Panzer IV Schmalturm. A fine piece of German engineering that boasts great accuracy, decent penetration, and armor so thin it makes a soda can look reinforced. But hey, it was free, and if history has taught us anything, it's that free stuff is always worth it. Right? Then, on the other end of the spectrum, we have the KV-2, a tank designed not for precision, not for tactics, but for pure, unfiltered chaos. If the Schmalturm is a precision laser cutter, the KV-2 is a sledgehammer duct-taped to a rocket. And as luck would have it, we've got two of them on the enemy team. Which is wonderful news, because who wouldn't want a 152mm Soviet friendship cannon aimed directly at them? But Dadbod for Free isn't worried. Oh no. He's got a plan, a strategy, a foolproof method to outplay the KV-2s and dominate the battlefield. Step 1. Go to a sniping position. Step 2. Stay there for an uncomfortably long time. Step 3. Hope everyone forgets he exists. As Dadbod for Free heroically, or perhaps enthusiastically unaware of his own mortality, ventures across the highly traditional heavy battleground of Airfield, we must pause and consider, is this an act of sheer tactical brilliance? Or just the digital equivalent of jaywalking on a freeway? To truly understand the depth of this maneuver, we turn to one of nature's greatest strategists, the ladybird, a tiny, unreasonably confident insect that flutters through life, assuming that nothing bad will happen. It does not question. It does not hesitate. It merely exists in a perpetual state of misguided optimism. Much like the ladybird, Dadbod for Free now traverses this open wasteland, utterly convinced that speed alone will keep him safe. Never mind the fact that, much like a ladybird flying straight into a patio door, there is an enormous KV-2-shaped obstacle waiting at the end of this journey. And so, the question remains, will Dadbod for Free emerge victorious? Will he gracefully settle into his sniping position untouched by danger? Or will he, much like an overconfident ladybird attempting to cross a highway, discover that his chosen path is, in fact, a terrible idea? And so, Dadbod for Free arrives at his intended destination, a sniping position so tactically sound that absolutely nothing happens for an extended period of time. Truly a masterstroke of strategic brilliance. But as we sit here, motionless, staring into the vast expanse of the Airfield map, one must ask, how did we get here? Not just in this battle, but in life. At what point did we, as rational beings, decide that sitting perfectly still behind a rock while others do all the actual fighting was a good use of our time? And speaking of questionable decisions, why exactly are there palm trees here? This is an airfield, is it not? One would assume some level of functional landscaping, perhaps a well-maintained control tower, maybe a hangar that doesn't look like it was abandoned in 1943. But no. Instead, we are surrounded by palm trees, which I can only assume were planted by a wargaming developer with a deep and profound disregard for realism. Perhaps, in a way, these palm trees are much like Dadbod for Free, out of place, of questionable value, and yet somehow still here, doing just enough to be considered part of the battle. But enough about botany. Let's refocus on the match. The important thing to remember here is that at some point, something will happen. Probably. Maybe. Tragedy has struck. Just a few feet behind us, a fellow Schmalturm, our steel-clad sibling in this battle, has fallen. Not to a mighty foe, not to a KV-2, not even to an opponent of equal stature. No, dear viewer, Our unfortunate comrade was mercilessly dispatched by a T1 Heavy, a Tier 5, a tank that, in theory, should be an afterthought for a mighty Tier 6 medium. And yet, here we stand, witnesses to a crime so humiliating that it must be avenged. Not because we should, but because if we don't, the shame will haunt us for generations. And so, Dadbod for Free embarks on a mission of justice, a mission of revenge, a mission of, well, mostly cleaning up a one-shot tank that someone else already softened up for us. But hey, vengeance is vengeance. And thus, balance is restored. The Schmalturm Brotherhood may be down a member, but justice, or at least the illusion of it, has been served. And lo, from the depths of matchmaking, it emerges, the KV-2. A vehicle of pure devastation, designed not to fight, but to erase. A tank so unsubtle, it makes a wrecking ball look like a precision instrument. And there it is. The shell lands. A casual 290 hit points evaporate faster than my willpower at a buffet. Oh, and a VK-30.02 Met also gets a hit in. Because why let the KV-2 have all the fun? But wait. In an act of defiance, Dadbod for Free retaliates 150 damage. That'll surely make the VK rethink its life choices. It won't. At this moment, one thing is clear. Survival is now a speedrun challenge, and the timer? It's ticking. With the poise of a practiced professional, or perhaps a possum pretending to be dead, Dadbod for Free executes a pristine, perfectly planned, panic-powered repositioning maneuver. And what a position it is. A majestic mountainside retreat, granting us a commanding line of fire, a clear view of the battlefield, and, most critically, a thick, impenetrable wall of rock separating us from the KV-2, whose sole mission in life is to turn us into modern art. Our first customer, the KV-1SA, a tank that, much like a pineapple on pizza, is hotly debated. Some swear by it, others are deeply, personally offended by its existence. However, most forgot all about this reward of a tank, especially that it was actually a reward. Fortunately, Dadbod for Free is here to settle the argument with a well-placed shell and a resounding no thank you. Next on the menu, the Leopard, which, despite the name, is less of an apex predator and more of a slightly disgruntled house cat with commitment issues. We proceed to perforate it politely but persistently, much like a dad testing a new grill cover for durability. It's a process. We're committed. And hey, unlike our earlier encounter with a certain KV-2, this is damage that doesn't come with a free existential crisis. So, to summarize, our precisely prepared plan has netted us one confirmed kill, multiple momentous hits, and a marvelously massive rock formation keeping us from becoming a KV-2's preferred projectile pincushion. I'd call that a positively premium performance. In what can only be described as an adrenaline-fueled lapse in judgment, Dadbod for Free pushes forward toward a KV-2, a very much still loaded KV-2. Yes, it's a one-shot. No, that does not make its shell any less enthusiastic about removing us from existence. But against all odds, we strike first, a clean hit, a moment of triumph. Aye. Oh dear sweet ring, it fired back! And yet, by some divine intervention, some cosmic misalignment, some pure statistical miracle, we are still here. And just like that, victory, we stand victorious, having done what few dare attempt, We have challenged the KV-2 and survived. With the unwavering confidence of a toddler clutching a pair of scissors while bouncing in a rubber jumping castle, Dadbod for Free charges into E5. Because why stop making questionable life choices now? His target, a T-34S, a tank that, much like a discount parachute, works just fine, right up until the moment you desperately need it to. A solid hit. Momentum is on our side, which, much like our hull armor, is incredibly thin. The T-34S has opinions about being shot. This is suddenly less fun. But before it can compose an angry letter to RNGesus, Dadbod for Free lands the final blow. 3 kills, a true legend, at attacking things that are already injured. And just when Dadbod for Free thought it was safe to celebrate, a cowardly camping KV-2 reminds us that happiness is temporary, and so are hit points. 286 damage, straight to the soul. Did we steal his pineapple? Did we offend his honor? Did we know he had honor? Was there a KV-2 council meeting where we were voted most likely to be nuked on sight? Regardless, we now have a fresh new hole in our hull, a renewed sense of mortality, and absolutely no interest in finding out if he reloads in time for seconds. As the battle reaches its climax, Dadbod for Free takes up a critical support role, strategically positioned behind several layers of friendly armor, because nothing says tactical awareness like using teammates as disposable cover. Shots fly, engines roar, and our brave frontline heroes throw themselves into combat with reckless abandon. Meanwhile, Dadbod for Free does what he does best: waiting, watching, calculating, patiently ensuring that when the time comes, he heroically secures the kill. A masterclass in timing, a shining beacon of opportunism, a textbook example of how to contribute, just late enough that nobody can complain. And that, dear viewers, is how you tactically let others do the hard work while you strategically claim all the glory. Some call it kill stealing, I call it kill optimizing. The team may have won, but I think we all know who the real MVP is. And there you have it, folks, proof that sometimes, just sometimes, a free tank isn't a total disappointment. The Peste für Schmalturm, a gift from wargaming from the Lunar event, actually managed to survive, hard thrive, and even secure a few kills. And unlike most free things in life, it didn't come with hidden fees, except your grinding, terrible handling, or an obligation to read terms and conditions. 4 kills. A solid haul. Some call it a good performance. Others might call it a miracle. Personally, I just call it a rare moment where things actually worked out. So, what have we learned today? 1. The Schmalturm is surprisingly useful. 2. KV-2s are legally required to ruin your day at least once per match. And 3. The only correct way to eat pineapple on pizza is with pepperoni. Because much like this battle, the perfect balance of sweet and salty is what makes everything come together. If you found this mildly educational and wildly unhinged, drop a like, leave a comment about your own free tank success stories or disasters, and subscribe for more tactically questionable gameplay.